Hello, I'm Mark Jardine, editor of sailworld.com, yachtsandyachting.com, and we also run marinebusinessworld.com. Today I am speaking with Darren Vaux, who is president of the Boating Industry Association in Australia. And first of all, Darren, can you tell me a bit about yourself?
Well, good morning, Mark. It's great to see you. So yes, I'm the president of the Boating Industry Association here in Australia. I've been on the board of this association for some 15 years, and this is my second time round as president, which is a great privilege. And my business in the marine industry is that I'm owner and operator of a marina in Sydney called Empire Marina Bobbin Head.
And the Boating Industry Association, what are your goals and aims?
Look, essentially we have three core pillars. First and foremost is obviously to grow participation in recreational boating. And that comes across a whole range of different forms. And I'm sure we'll talk about that particular topic a bit more this morning. But also there's two other key things. One is to continue to strengthen our role of advocacy in relation to government policy. On the fundamental premise that we seek to achieve education instead of regulation, to get industry to lead the way that we deal with our relationships with government. And the third part is that we're all about professional development of our industry and career pathways for people to be able to come into our industry. So they're the three core pillars that we approach as an association.
And so this is working across getting people into boating, but also working with the industry so that when people find out about boating, they can find their careers in it as well.
Absolutely, and I think that that's a real key thing for us, is that obviously we need to grow participation in boating so that we're growing our customer base, we're growing demand for the various products and services that our industry has to offer. But if we're successful in that particular area, we've obviously got to have the capability, the skills, and we've got to keep those skills up to date, present, and looking forward, so that we've got the resources that are required to actually meet the consumer's expectations. So you can't have one without the other, and we do focus very clearly on both of those.
And coming up very soon, 25th of September to the 2nd of October, you have National Boating Week. This is an initiative to really bring more people onto the water and get involved in boating. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, well, look, I think that there's no doubt 2020 is a very unique year for our industry, for everyone globally, really. And I think one of the things, our traditional pathways is the way we engage with consumers in particular has been through our boat show programs. Now, obviously this year that hasn't been possible because of COVID. And so we've then orientated ourselves towards looking with how do you keep the opportunities that boating presents as a lifestyle, how do you keep that in front of the consumer? And we've done a lot of things in the digital media space and social media space progressively on that, but we're using the opportunity leading up to the opening of our season in Australia, which obviously we're just coming into spring now, and our season really starts with what's called the October long weekend, the first weekend in October. So we're having National Boating Week in the week that's leading up to that. To be able to present the boating lifestyle, to keep it front of mind for people, so that as we move into our season, that boating is seen as something that people can engage with. And it's important insofar as that we've connected with government in doing this as well, because National Safe Boating Week then starts on the October long weekend. So we get consumers interested, they'll see the safe boating messages that are occurring across Australia and New Zealand, and then we'll have this sort of solid period where boating will be front of mind for a lot of people.
We have seen globally, with international travel pretty much off the cards for everyone, people really reconnecting with the water and getting out and realizing just what they've got on their doorstep. Have you seen this in Australia?
Oh, look, it's been, without doubt, there's been a reconnection to the water. And it's very interesting. So if we take a step back before COVID had occurred, if we look back to 2019 and the things that we were talking about, the way we were presenting boating and the matters we were talking about, it was very interesting, because I've often referred to a book written by a great author and in the US called Wallace J. Nichols, who wrote a book called Blue Mind. And Blue Mind was about the benefits that people get from being in, on, or around water. And we really connected with that, and we've worked with Jay in relation to the way that he's presented this message around the world. And you couldn't have got a circumstance where people needed that connection to the water more than we've seen in 2020. And I think one of the things that's happened is that we've definitely seen that when, as you've said, those options of traveling abroad, of going on cruises, and a whole range of other things, coming together in mass gatherings and all of those sorts of things that people were doing and can't do anymore because of COVID, then you start to look at what options you have. And if you think about the things that you need to achieve, social distancing, connection to nature, healthy outdoor, connecting with your family and close contacts, being able to maintain social distancing and safety and isolation, boating ticks all of those boxes. And the industry has seen that and tried to promote it, but the consumers have seen it as well. And I think the reality is not only in Australia, but around the world, that the demand for boats has been significant. And we've seen a huge reconnection to it. And that's been a fascinating circumstance because the industry itself's been very strong, but there are associations that represent them, including ours, have actually done it tough because most of us rely on the revenue from boat shows and our connections and things like that. So our financial resources required to be able to support our industry have been greatly constrained because we haven't been able to deliver up on things like shows. But at the same time, and more importantly, of course, our industry has actually been quite resilient through these circumstances, and in a lot of respect has seen significant growth.
And with that, working with the industry, as you say, boat shows aren't happening, but we've got the uptake in boating. How can you make sure that this message is getting to non-boaters so that they know the right pathway for them?
Well, the key to it, and I guess that's what part of our initiative with National Boating Week is that we've really started to drive hard with our social media and our digital content provision to be able to connect out with people. We're trying to use events like National Boating Week to try and raise the awareness because there's really three groups that we've got to connect with in their broadest categories. And they are, of course, people who haven't been boating before. So we need to get boating in front of them and make them see that boating, sailing and paddlecraft and all the different pathways into our industry are available to them as a safe, fun and approachable way of being able to connect with the water. We've also got those that we've previously lost. And I guess there's a really interesting, we've got this campaign that we're trying to develop around the premise of rediscover boating. So, we've got discover boating, but rediscover boating is those that we may have lost. They may have got to a certain point and they've gone off and said, no, we're traveling now. No, we're doing this. We're going overseas. We're going on cruising. And to basically say, well, hang on, those options aren't available anymore. Come back to boating, rediscover what you loved about boating and re-engage. And the third and very important part of this, of course, is retention. It's about retaining the boaters that we've got, keeping them participating in boating, and then finding ways that we can stretch out the bell curve of participation to be able to keep boating, people boating for longer and those sorts of things. So there's a lot of things that we've got to do, and that's just within the cohort that we've got. There's so many other things that we have to do to engage women, to engage people of different demographics and things like that, because I think that there still is a huge need for us to take boating and the opportunity that we have at the moment and actually make the profile of boating participation a reflection of normal societal demographics, which we clearly don't at the moment.
That retention is a very important point. People can sometimes get into boating and very quickly drop out of it. And this tying in with the safety week, do you think this will help in keeping people within boating?
Well, I think that there's a few elements to that. One is that we need to make sure that when people come into boating, that they are given the training and skills that they need so that they enjoy their boating, that they're sold products that meet their needs as well, because we have to overcome this issue of often people coming into boating and either buying a boat that's a lot older than they should have bought, a lot bigger than they should have bought, and they end up with it costing them a lot more money than they thought. and therefore they have a bad experience and things like that. And I guess that's why we try to bring the professionalism, connect prospective purchasers with our industry, so that we can take them on the journey that is just buy the product, see you later. It's buy the product that matches your needs, and then help you through a process, connect you with people, give you training and education, and help you in get the most out of your boating, because that's how we retain them. Because, you know, someone that has a bad experience coming in, you know, that is a huge, that causes huge damage, because not only have we lost them, but they probably tell all of their friends as well that they don't like boating and all those sorts of things. We need to turn that on its head, give people great experiences, and therefore work on the retention, particularly of new boaters.
So make sure that they have a positive experience of their first time boating.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just going to add, I think, interestingly enough, I think sailing and sailing clubs do it best, because the process of bringing people, juniors, into sailing, taking them through, giving them the skills, letting them understand what they want. And I know that that's something that's very dear to your heart. That's actually a pathway that we need to replicate right across our industry, whether it's paddlecraft, power boats, sailing boats, or whatever. That style of introduction and ability for people to connect with the skills and the craft, to develop a passion for it, that gives them a foundation for their future.
I'm a great believer in the whole club network. And yes, when juniors come on board with sailing, making sure that their first experience are enjoyable. So scaling this up across the board of boating, I think makes a huge amount of sense to me. Now, with National Boating Week, how can people participate in this, and what resources do you have available to show people what's on their doorstep?
Okay, so we're running it along a number of different fronts. We're inviting our members to participate. So as an example, you know, as a marina in my business, for instance, we'll be running certain events around about that time. Obviously, we have to run them in a COVID-safe way, so they have to be very bespoke and tailored, so you can't have large crowds, but it's orientated towards providing pathways for people to come down and engage with different people, try different things, look at different things. Boat dealers will be running, you know, try boating, try sailing type of events, where people can come down and just see what it's like to get on a boat, go out, enjoy it, take the controls, you know, be able to see what it feels like. And I guess what we have to do is we have to break down the mystery and make people realize that this is actually an easy, fun and enjoyable thing to do. Because one of the challenges that we constantly have is that people don't necessarily, they think it sounds like a great idea, I love the idea of it, but how do I do it? We have to be able to answer that question. So we'll do it by engaging our members and providing physical locations for that. We'll use digital media through videos and social media and various other bits and pieces to build awareness of that. And with a bit of luck, we can then bring people through to actually engage with all those processes.
And you've got a new resource, Discover Boating website, which you're going to be building ready for National Boating Week. Will that provide people with their nearest options?
Absolutely. Part of that will be the Discover Boating site itself will be a resource that really helps people understand those pathways. And as part of that, we're able to then use that for people to connect with it. We'll use it through our social media platforms to then identify the events that they can connect within their local areas and things like that, to build up a whole picture, so that as we lead into that, people will know exactly what they can, you know, what they're interested in and where they can find venues and information that enables them to connect with it.
Well, Darren, it's been fantastic to talk to you today and hear how the Boating Industry Association is adapting with the lack of boat shows, but the uptake in participation in boating, using what resources you can and the industry itself to really promote getting people out on the water, the huge benefits that we know that that provides, and giving people those opportunities. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, Mark. Really appreciate it.